Well, many times it seems that it's an ongoing joke about how Disney does price hikes and maybe they charge for things that used to be free. Well, it seems Disney is leaning into this a bit as there are more price hikes that were announced. So we have an article here from Blog Mickey that we're going to read through and get some thoughts on. So, hi, I'm Jared with Capture the Magic, and the article here is the second wave of price hikes announced for Lightning Lane Single Pass at Walt Disney World. It says the price of Lightning Lane Single Pass will continue to set all-time highs this October as the slow season is left behind us and the march toward the holiday crowds begins. Just a few days ago, it was revealed that Lightning Lane Single Pass pricing would reach all-time highs at select attractions beginning in mid-October, and now that ceiling will continue to stretch. We previously reported on new all-time high prices for Lightning Lane Single Pass attractions at Walt Disney World, but pricing continues to climb. So Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is now $12. It shows previously all-time high was 13. Now the all-time high is 14. Tron was 20, now 22. Guardians of the Galaxy, 17, now 19. Avatar Flight of Passage was 17, now 18. And Rise of the Resistance is staying the same at 25, which is still the most expensive one on property. It says, keep in mind that pricing for Walt Disney World's Lightning Lane product, single pass and multi-pass varies by day. We can expect to continue to see price increases for Lightning Lane as we get closer to the Thanksgiving and Christmas seasons. Additionally, we expect Disney to introduce a new product called Lightning Lane Premier Pass, which we have talked about. When it debuts, Lightning Lane Premier will be a limited availability pass at a premium price. Yeah, I mean, so what they in there, basically Disney, the rumor is Disney is going to implement this Lightning Lane Premier Pass, which is going to operate essentially how Universal Studios Express Pass works, where you pay a one fee, which it's going to be a lot of money, and then you don't have to reserve a time. You can just walk into, one time per day on any attraction, just walk into the Lightning Lane and use it without having to schedule a time using your phone and things like that. But in terms of them raising prices, I don't know. I'm not surprised. I mean, again, they're just going to continue to do this. And again, the thing that gets me about this is all of this is just, it's $1. I understand it's $1, but it's still $1. So you ask yourself, why just $1? Well, it's because back in the day, they talk about Warren Buffett. He bought stock in Coca-Cola, and all that he did at the time was raise the cost of each Coke. I think it was like a penny. And by doing that, made the company millions and millions more dollars because of the amount of Coca-Cola that is sold. Same thing here. They raise it by $1, and then it increases the revenue because of there's still a lot of people obviously are going to Disney World, and the amount of people that buy the Lightning Lane single pass and multi-pass is pretty high. We don't know the exact numbers in terms of the percentages of guests, but it is a very high number, and therefore you increase the revenue, especially when they've talked about going into the fourth quarter that the demand is softening and they're not looking to go very strong into 2025. Them raising prices is, again, to me, a short-sighted attempt at trying to show at least the revenue not falling down too much, because I think they're really concerned about that stock price. But yet again, part of the complaints that people have about Disney is the price hikes and the cost to go. So when you're doing that in the short term, I suppose you could show less or maybe try and stabilize the revenue that you see from the parks, but you're just going to continue to feed into the consumer sentiment that you're just price hiking everything across the board. And really, at what point, like if you're going to do this Premier Lightning Lane, where does the price hikes, like where does that ceiling fall for just the Lightning Lane multi-pass? Because that is going to be the cheaper option. If that gap between the top one and the lower one gets closer, I don't know. I have a hard time seeing how that's going to really work effectively long term. And again, a lot of the things that we've talked about with Disney, I think a lot of this is short-sighted when you're talking about the parks that make a ton of money, but the parks have been under fire a lot lately, especially from mainstream outlets talking about the price hikes and the fact that demand is softening, and really Disney even admitting on some level that they've priced out essentially the middle class, which is what I would argue built the Disney parks was the middle class. They've essentially been priced out. I think even though it is $1, I think it just feeds again into the sentiment that people have in that everything just keeps getting more and more expensive, especially when you're leading up into what many presume, myself included, of the, I guess you call them the quote unquote theme park wars or the Epic Universe opening next year. And I'm not making the argument that Universal or Epic Universe is going to be cheap, but I think at the same time, they are offering a lot of things to people that they really do want, and they don't have the reputation that Disney does. And that could be fair or unfair, depending on your viewpoint of things, but it is kind of how it is perceived, and Disney has to deal with that on some level. So I think they have a lot of a brand reputation issue at this point, especially when it comes to the parks, because within a 5-year span, they have gone from free fast passes, free Magical Express, to now no longer having Magical Express. So essentially, you have to pay for that or provide your own way to get from the airport to Disney World. And then what used to be free with the fast passes, they now charge for, which the new system is essentially the Fast Pass Plus system that's just now charged for, on top of all the other price hikes. And when it comes to food, which we've talked about, Disney is more than double the rate of inflation on their food items. It's just one of those things where once you start looking at it in such a short amount of time, a lot of people have been really turned off by this when it comes to Disney. And again, I understand it's just a dollar. I'm not shocked by this, by the way. I don't want you to look at me and think, oh, wow, I'm shocked this happened. I'm not shocked this happened. I would be actually shocked if this didn't happen on some level. But again, they just raised prices not that long ago. So it definitely seems in the short term, Disney is almost getting, I'm not going to say desperate, but I feel like they're getting very aggressive in really trying to get as much as they can out of the parks, especially when, other divisions haven't been doing as well. You did have some good movies this summer with Deadpool, Wolverine, and Inside Out 2 for the studio side. But again, the parks make so much money for the company that they're essentially just trying to squeeze everything they can out of it. And I think this is where you're left with this, which is, more price hikes. And again, if it's a dollar now, it's a dollar later on. And all of a sudden, it's like the boiling pot with the frog. If you turn the heat up too quick, the frog's going to jump out. If you do it slowly, they sit in it. So, you look over a year or two, it went from, it may have been a dollar each time, but all of a sudden it's $5-6 more per day. You just do the math on how many people come through the parks, how many people buy it. And then you can see where, the increased revenue could come from. But either way, I suppose if you're looking to get individual lightning lane when it comes to Disney on some of these attractions, you're going to be paying a little bit more for it. So I don't think this is going to be something that, people are going to become outraged over. I just think it's one of those things when you're already looking at Disney basically price hiking, it's yet again another one. But we'll have to wait and see if there's any more. Obviously, they talked about the busy season for Disney coming up is, the Christmas time, which they're still running a lot of deals going into Christmas. So I don't think the bookings are there how they have been historically. Now, I do think the parks, obviously, they're not going to be empty, and they're not empty now. If anybody's telling you that the parks are empty, they're not empty. Now, the crowds are lower than they have been in the past. And so this year at Christmas, it could be lower than years past. But if you are going to go to Disney, like, the parks are going to be crowded. There are going to be people there. But it just comes down to, are the amount of people there like they were a couple of years ago, especially like say 2019? That's not the case because Disney has not gained the attendance that they had in 2019 ever since then. So, but in the meantime, they've just charged more per person essentially to come in to basically make up that difference. But either way, if you are going to go and get single pass Lightning Lane for any of these attractions, you'll be paying a little bit more for it. And we'll have to wait and see if they make any more changes in terms of pricing when it comes to, their busier time of year toward the end of the year now. But either way, that is going to be it, though, for this video. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. As we do, let's coverage here of Disney World, Universal Studios, Epic Universe, and pop culture. And let us know in the comments, what do you think about these price hikes by Disney? Do you think it's a big deal, or do you think it's just a dollar? It's nothing to worry about. And until next time, we will see you in the parks.